Brittany Mitchell at the 2015 Super Rugby launch. I'm here with Michael Foley of the Western Force. Now, last year you broke quite a few team records. Obviously going to do that again this year?
Well, that'll be nice. Certainly the confidence the guys got out of last year, drives them this year. It was interesting watching them come back after the NRC. They had 4 weeks off, and I think a real statement of intent was the condition they came back in. Normally rugby teams go away for 4 weeks and they come back and there's a fair bit of work to do in that area. But our guys all went and had a good break, but they kept the training up, and it just meant that the reduced period of time we had pre-Christmas compared to what we normally have was really worthwhile. They were in great shape and they've trained well.
Now, you're very well known for a strong defence, and last year you picked it up in the attack. Is that something you're planning to improve again this year?
Yeah, very much. I think 2 years ago our attack lagged well behind. We worked really hard last year on scoring more tries, and we did, and we want to do the same this year. I think when we came out of last season, again, as you suggest, there was a lot of confidence in the defence. We still feel there's some room to grow in that space, but definitely attack's been a priority. And when we commenced NRC, a lot of the work we did during that period was in preparation for Super Rugby this year, and it was largely focused on attacking skills, which is, players love doing that. So we're able to get through a lot of work that sometimes sits just on the edge of your program when you're trying to organise defensive systems and attacking systems, and we've been able to retain that into the 3 weeks. And there were some good signs in that first Brumbies trial. Again, only a trial, but there were some really nice signs from our backs and the way they played as a unit.
Now, you're facing the Waratahs first up this year. You had a fantastic win against them at home last year. Can you finally beat them at home this year?
Well, that's going to be the great challenge. We're the first team that gets to play the champions at their home ground, which is an immense challenge. But our guys are getting better at meeting those challenges, and I think last year it was certainly daunting for us. This year it is a bigger challenge maybe in some ways, but I think we're probably more prepared to try and go out there and tackle that. And obviously, everybody's been mindful since the draw was released on who their first opponent is, and we've got the champions, so it's a great chance for us.
Yeah. Now, you guys are very well known for taking down those top teams. Maybe you'll do it again this time.
Yeah, that'd be great. That certainly would, Brittany. Yeah.
Yeah. So Matt Hodgson, he was fantastic last year. Can we expect more?
Well, look, I think it's very hard to expect more from Matt. I think you can get more of the same, but he's one player that you would say leaves absolutely nothing on the field. His leadership was outstanding. I think his defence was first class, and to come away from the Super Rugby season as the top try scoring forward, what more do you do? And a lot of players obviously get the chance to play for Australia and sometimes fall out of the system and then disappear. I think Matt always retained hope of representing his country again, and I can't tell you how excited we all were to see him selected, along with Peck, who was in the same boat. So, I think Matt cares enormously about the team, and I think we'll be getting more of the same this year.
Now, Nick Cummins will be returning, and I'm sure everyone is very happy to see him, not just on the field, but on the sideline. But we know him as a larrikin. What is he like on the field?
Yeah, look, I use the same two words all the time. He rips in. And I think, one of the things that makes him so popular with people is that he is a larrikin off the field, but, a very serious competitor on it, and again, another guy not unlike Matt in the sense that there's never anything left out there. And, games of rugby, you don't always win the battles, you don't always win the outcomes, but Nick is going still at the 80-minute mark. And, some of the things he did for us on the field last year were not just good in of themselves, but very inspiring for the guys around him. So he brings great balance and great levity off the field and great intensity on it.
I'm sure now all his teammates can have a laugh about his head and shoulders ads now.
Yeah, he's certainly gone out on a limb there, and not unlike Kamara to do that. He will have enjoyed knowing that people were having a bit of a giggle.
Yeah. Now, Carl Godwin, he's had a few disappointing seasons through injury. Is he ready to go and rip into it this year?
Yeah, look, he has had those couple of injuries. And those injuries have been disappointing, but he's done very well. He was a guy that played Australian 20s 10. We felt that there was a future for him in the centres, and he's dived at that challenge. And I think he's a guy with the rare talent to be able to play 12 and 13. I think he's got ball playing capabilities, which makes him a really handy 12. But I think he's got great speed, which obviously gives him the capacity to play at 13. And I think his combination with Junior, and we've got a couple of other young centres there, Amon Matawatu, who was identified in NRC, Luke Burton, who was an Australian 20s player. I think those guys will be, a real sort of hub both in attack and defence for us in our backs this year. And I think Kyle will do well.
Should we expect to see him in gold sometime soon?
Well, he didn't get any minutes on the end of season tour, but I think great reward for a lot of talent and a lot of hard work. And I think just that he got that recognition, but not any minutes, I think makes him even hungrier. It's sort of, you're almost there. You get to go on the tour, but you don't get to actually pull on the jersey and get on the field. And he's come back really refreshed. He had a good break, and watching him play in the trials last weekend, there was some nice additions to his game. Both composure, but also some of the way that he sort of chanced his arm at the right time. And put little short kicks in, played the ball nicely, and ran well with it. So.
Now, the Perth Rising did very well in the inaugural NRC season. Can we expect to see some of those players coming through the ranks?
Yeah, look, we've signed one of those centres, Amon Matuatu, who plays for the Associates Club in Perth. Again, a strong club. He did particularly well during NRC. He's been training with us through the pre-season. And he's not only held his own, but there's been times in sessions where he stood out against other Super Rugby players. So, we think we do a reasonable job of sort of combing the local talent, but he was somebody that we probably had overlooked a little bit. And the fact that the NRC's unearthed, that's quite exciting for the future, because next year there'll be some of the same guys, but there'll be new players, and perhaps in 12 months' time there'll be somebody else that will stand out.
Keep up to date with all the Super Rugby news at ESPN Scrum.